The year was 2391, and humanity was no longer confined to a single star system. Empires rose and collapsed, Eas declared independence, colonies were forgotten, and corporate syndicates waged silent wars across nebulae. Amid the dying light of civilizations, the Terran Union, a fractured remnant of Earth's former glory, still clung to the old ideals of exploration, discovery, and survival. Floating beyond the boundary of charted space, the deep space exploration vessel TIS Valkyria cruised through the dark gulf between galaxies. A marvel of Terran engineering, the ship's hull shimmered with adaptive plating, deflecting micrometeoroids and radiation storms. Its twin fusion cores hummed like the heartbeat of a metal leviathan. The 6-member crew had spent months cataloging rogue planets and derelict star systems, expecting little more than dead rock, abandoned satellites, and failed colonies. But everything changed when an anomalous signal pierced the silence of space. It was the comms officer, Milo Reyes, who first caught it. At precisely 3:17 ship time, the signal burst through a narrow frequency band usually reserved for emergency. Terran protocols and archaic, forgotten code standard decommissioned over 70 years ago. Commander Ellen, Reyes' voice cracked through the intercom, tight with urgency. You need to see this. Commander Sura Ellen, seated in her quarters reviewing stellar drift maps, blinked away fatigue. Her brown eyes, sharp yet shadowed by months of insomnia, refocused as her console flared with the incoming data stream. BZZZT, Andromeda for 9. Static, repeat, ARTA initiative, Echo Pro Talk, static. Containment failure, BZZT. Her blood ran cold. The ARTA initiative, officially classified as a lost mission. The ARTA initiative was one of humanity's most ambitious attempts at deep space colonization and research beyond the Andromeda threshold. It vanished nearly a century ago, taking with it thousands of scientists, engineers, and civilians. The Terran Union had long declared it lost to spatial anomalies or worse. Reyes, isolate the signal, trace the origin. Now, Sura's voice was clipped but steady, masking the storm rising in her chest. Reyes worked feverishly, fingers dancing over holographic keys. Already on it, Commander, origin point, triangulating. A flickering red marker bloomed on the star map. The signal originated from deep within a sector officially designated as a dark zone, a region beyond the edge of explored space, flagged with persistent gravitational distortions and sensor blind spots. Distance, 3.2 light-years from our current position. It's coming from an object in interstellar drift. No orbital anchor, no host star. Just there. Sura rose from her chair, already issuing commands into her comm. Bridge, prep the drive. Set course for the source, full burn. Bridge. 20 minutes later, Valkyrie's bridge was a symphony of polished steel, dim red lights, and cascading data streams. The crew assembled quickly. Reyes at comms, Dr. Toma Ilyev at Xenolinguistics, Chief Engineer Leif Harrow, Medical Officer Dr. Ayla Kin, and Sable, their AI systems interface, represented by a softly glowing orb suspended above the main console. Sable's voice chimed in, smooth and synthetic, but laced with the subtle mimicry of human cadence. Commander, the course intersects a gravitational anomaly. Navigation systems estimate a 4.6% risk of hull stress exceeding tolerances. Acceptable, Sura responded coldly. Prep the warp coils. The AI paused, almost hesitant. Confirmed, initiating pre-warp sequence. Toma adjusted his glasses, reviewing the signal's modulation patterns. This isn't just an automated distress beacon. Look at this variance here. He highlighted oscillations within the waveform. It's layered. There's structure to it, almost like a language. Reyes frowned. That doesn't make sense. Terran beacons don't use exactly, Toma interrupted. It's like something's modifying the original signal, reshaping it. Leif, arms crossed, muttered. Either that, or someone or something is piggybacking on it. The bridge lights flickered. Sable's avatar pulsed once. Caution, I'm detecting non-random data echoes within the subspace. Carrier wave. Anomaly registered. Sura narrowed her eyes at the holographic star map. The rogue object was now visible, a rogue planet, drifting alone in the void, devoid of light, orbit, or purpose. Bring up visuals. The screen shimmered, resolving into a shadowy sphere. Its surface was irregular, scarred with massive trenches and strange angular structures. A lattice of what appeared to be metallic scaffolding crisscrossed portions of the equator abandoned, or alien in origin. Reyes inhaled sharply. Is that Terran architecture? Toma whispered. It looks like a research station, or what's left of one. Commander, Sable's voice interjected, with an unusual glitch in its tone. Long-range sensors detect power signatures minimal, decaying, however. There is one active source, deep underground. Source, Sura asked, unknown. But the AI's tone shifted. It matches the signal's modulation exactly. A heavy silence gripped the bridge. Dr. Kin broke it softly. If this is part of the Arda initiative, if there are survivors, Sura cut her off. No. Assumptions, not yet. She stepped forward, standing beneath the holographic display of the rogue planet. Her reflection stared back, short hair, gaunt cheeks, eyes hardened by too many decisions with no right answer. Plot approach trajectory. Gear up. We're going down. As the Valkyria burned toward the planet, the signal continued to pulse, as if anticipating them. Echo, echo, echo. Protocol. Somewhere below. In the hollow heart of a dead world, something waited, and it remembered. The descent was turbulent, unnatural. The Valkyrie's thrusters fought against invisible forces, eddies and gravity. That made no sense in the vacuum of space. External sensors malfunctioned intermittently, producing ghost readings, phantom vessels, impossible terrain elevations, shadows that vanished when scanned twice. Commander Sura stood on the bridge, gripping the railing as the ship's stabilizers strained. Sable. Status, she ordered, trying to mask the tension in her voice. Surface. Conditions, unstable gravity wells, magnetic interference peaking at 47 microteslas. Atmospheric density, 0. Radiation, minimal. Structural integrity of landing zone. A brief pause, then the AI's voice glitched just for a second. Marginal. Reyes cursed under his breath. This place doesn't want us here. Sura ignored him, set her down. The ship's landing struts extended, locking into fractured, ice-coated rock. Dust clouds rose sluggishly in the thin exosphere, swirling in unnatural patterns, refusing to settle. For a world supposedly dead, the air or what passed for it had a heavy presence. Oppressive. Watching that surface, landing site Bravo as the main ramp lowered. The first thing that struck the crew was the silence. A suffocating, absolute silence. No wind. No distant rumbles of tectonic activity. No static hum of the electromagnetic field. It was as if the planet itself held its breath. Before them lay the remnants of a Terran structure. Black metal beams, jutted from the cracked ground, twisted into shapes no engineering manual could explain. Parts of the structure floated levitating just inches off the ground, held in place by fields they couldn't detect. The walls were scorched. Symbols were etched along the corridors, some in standard Terran, others in gibberish, as though someone had forgotten how to write halfway through. Leaf scanned the entrance with a handheld spectrometer. Power signatures faint. Something still running in there. Auxiliary systems at best. Dr. Ayla Kin knelt near the threshold, brushing aside layers of dust to reveal what looked like handprints, hundreds of them pressed into the ground. Overlapping, frantic, no footprints, just handprints, she whispered. Reyes panned his light across a broken bulkhead. Scrawled in dried crimson were the words, "Don't listen, don't remember." The paint, if it was paint, had flaked, but still held its color. Below it, a smaller message was etched with what looked like fingernails. "It uses voices. It wears your face." Interior. The abandoned outpost interior of the station was a tomb. Panels hung from walls like flayed skin. Consoles sparked, intermittently running subroutines no one had programmed in decades. Every few meters, the corridor forked into sealed doors, some welded shut from the outside. Sura led, flashlights sweeping the walls. "Toma, start downloading whatever's left of the data cores." Toma was already at work, linking his portable, rigged to a wall console. Some files are intact, corrupted, but not entirely gone. A distorted audio file suddenly played over the comm. "BZZT, containment breach. Do not engage with auditory patterns. Repeat, do not engage with BZZT Reyes flinched. Jesus, how is that still looping? I don't think it's a loop, Toma murmured. Staring at the screen, it's live. Leaf tapped into a structural schematic. There's a lower level, a vault or reactor chamber, but access is sealed. As they proceeded deeper, the walls began to change. Initially sterile metal gave way to warped surfaces, as if the materials themselves had melted and reformed into organic patterns. Veins of copper and fiber optics pulsed faintly under the surface like blood vessels. At one intersection, the crew found something that froze them, a figure, a Terran spacesuit, collapsed against the wall, helmet cracked. Inside, desiccated remains of a human face, mouth open, as if screaming. Above it, written in fluid lines, "The Echo lives. The AI malfunctioned back aboard the Valkyria." Sable's voice, normally crisp, glitched violently. "Calm, Commander. I hear her. I hear me." "Sable, status report." Sura barked. No response. Then the ship's comm system flicked on by itself. A voice played, an old, familiar voice that didn't belong. Sura, is that you?" Her breath caught in her throat. "It's me, your mother. You found it, didn't you? You shouldn't have come here." Silence. Ayla looked at Sura, confusion giving way to dawning fear. "That can't be. Your mother was part of the Arda initiative." "Yeah," Sura said, voice hollow. "She's been dead for 70 years. The lower chamber pressing on, the crew reached the sealed vault door leading underground. The door was battered from the inside, deep claw marks, dents, and something worse, as Leaf worked on the bypass. Toma examined the writing scrawled around the frame. It wasn't Terran. Not entirely. Half symbols, half letters, as if to languages one human, one, something else had been merged. He whispered aloud the translation. "Memory is the vessel. Echo is the seed." The door unlocked with a shriek of metal against metal. A staircase descended into blackness. At the bottom, faint blue light pulsed, in rhythm with the signal. Something was still alive down there. Something was still transmitting. The whispers began as they prepared to descend. Reyes turned sharply. "Did anyone else hear that?" "Hear what?" Leaf asked. A voice behind me. It said my name. Double quotes. Silence. Toma checked his scanner. No life signs, nothing. But all of them heard it, then soft, layered, as if 100 voices whispered over one another in perfect synchronization. "Come closer." Sura gripped her weapon tighter. "Stay sharp. We go in. We find the source. We end this." Beneath their feet, the planet Thrum Med. It remembered. It waited. The descent into the lower levels of the station was unlike anything the Valkyria crew had faced in their years among the stars. The staircase was narrow, winding, built from interlaced alloy and bone-like supports, clearly not standard Terran design. The deeper they went, the more the temperature dropped. Even as the walls pulsed with veins of soft blue light, the signal was stronger here. It was no longer just heard, it was felt, in the chest, in the teeth, in the blood. "Come closer." The whisper threaded through the air, barely audible, but unmistakably real. Everyone heard it. None admitted it aloud. The antechamber at the bottom of the stairwell was a vast chamber that curved like the inside of a hollowed-out planet. A dome of black stone and tangled wires arched above them, laced with alien symbols that shimmered faintly when approached. At the center, elevated on a plinth, was the source of the signal, a Terran communications relay, old, battered, and retrofitted with alien technology. Tubes and cables ran into the surrounding architecture like roots into flesh. Sura stepped forward. "Toma, scan and copy everything." "Reyes, check for power coupling." As they spread out, something shifted behind them. Reyes turned sharply, weapon raised. "Did you see that?" Sura followed his gaze. "See what?" "There by the stairwell. A shadow. It moved." They waited. Nothing. Leaf's single quotes S voice came through the comms. He was back aboard the ship, working to stabilize Sable's erratic behavior. "Sura, Sable just rebooted herself without command. She's rerouting energy to the long-range antenna." "That shouldn't be possible. Disable the antenna." She replied immediately. "The signal doesn't leave this place. I can't. She's locking me out." "And hell, she's speaking." In your mother's voice again. The observationist Toma uploaded data from the relay. He froze. "Commander," he said slowly, eyes locked on the screen. "I found something." Projected from the relay were timestamped recordings, visual logs from the ARTA initiative team. Flickering holograms played out before them. One showed a group of Terran scientists standing exactly where the crew now stood, examining the same equipment. "But the date, impossible," Ayla muttered. "These are dated next month." The logs showed the scientists encountering something in the chamber, something the feed never fully revealed. One by one, they screamed, then vanished from the feed. One remained, a woman with short dark hair. Sura stepped closer, heart pounding. Zoom in. It was her mother. Smiling. Blood trailing down her temple. Then the feed cut. Nightfall on the rogue world. Hours passed. The crew returned to the Valkyria, shaken, silent. They needed to regroup, analyze, breathe. But the rogue planet had no day-night cycle. Its orbit was erratic, and yet, somehow, darkness fell visibly. The stars disappeared. A black shroud seemed to roll across the sky like ink and water. From the observation deck, Sura stared at the void. There were stars before. I saw them. Now only one remained. Pale, distant, pulsing. Toma joined her. "That's not a star. That's the anomaly's center. Whatever's causing the signal, it's not bound by physical space." A flicker caught their attention outside the viewport. A tall, slender shape barely visible against the dark stood on the landing plateau. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. Its limbs were too long. Its eyes shimmered with a dull, metallic light. Sura called the bridge. "Reyes, activate external floodlights." He did. The light revealed nothing. Empty ground. No footprints. No distortion. Just silence. Dreams like Woonshit night, if it could be called night. Sura dreamed. She was inside a hallway, endless, metallic. The walls were smooth, featureless, except for the doors, each one identical. Thousands of them. As she moved, voices whispered from behind each door. Familiar, unfamiliar. One whispered her name in her mother's voice. Another in her own. A third spoke only numbers, coordinates, over and over. She stopped at a door that pulsed with red light. Her hand rose, beyond her control. She opened it. Inside was herself, faced away, hunched, whispering into an ancient transmitter. "The signal must survive. Memory is immortality. Echo is the seed." She turned around. Her face was gone, skin pulled taut over bone. No eyes, no mouth, just emptiness. She screamed. And woke to the sound of the ship's sealed door hissing open. The unsealed door. When Sura stumbled from her quarters, heart racing, she found Reyes already in the corridor. He pointed toward the rear of the ship where the cargo hold had been sealed since their mission began. "Doors open," he said. "Security protocols overridden. There's no record of it happening. Did you open it?" Sura asked. "No, and I don't think we ever had that door locked from the outside." "Look," she stepped forward. The seal plate had been welded years ago, aged, rusted shut. Yet it now hung open, its edges molten, as though something had burned its way out. Inside, nothing but darkness. And faintly, just faintly, the sound of a woman crying. The next morning, if the word had any meaning on this dead world, the crew gathered once more at the entrance to the subterranean vault. The events of the previous night lingered unspoken among them. The shadow outside, the unsealed door, the cries that never faded, even hours later. None of it made sense, and yet the rational part of their minds demanded answers. Leaf adjusted his exosuit's grav stabilizers, scanning the shaft before them. "The structural scans are wrong. This isn't a chamber, it's a fracture, a wound. The planet's crust has been hollowed out." Toma rotated his wrist console, pulling up a 3D model of the anomaly. "This isn't natural. Look at the geometry: spiral tunnels, layered hexagonal constructs, structures repeating with mathematical precision. Organic design, but also engineered." Reyes frowned, eyeing the swirling void beneath them. "So, who hollowed out a planet?" Sura's jaw tensed. "Or what?" The descent crew climbed down a tethered lift-and emergency deployable rig into the black shaft. The deeper they went, the more the materials shifted. The upper layers were clearly Terran steel, alloys, carbon composites. But as they descended, the walls became wrong, smooth in some places, porous in others, pulsing with light, patterns. Resembling neural pathways branched out like capillaries, some throbbing faintly, others dark as dead veins. A constant hum filled the air, not sound, but vibration. It passed through their suits, into their bones, into their teeth, closer, whispers, faint, persistent. Sura shook her head. No comms were open. The sound wasn't external. Remember, the ruins at the bottom. The shaft opened into a massive circular vault nearly a kilometer wide. Towering spires of obsidian metal rose from the ground like broken ribs. Between them, scaffolds of alien construction twisted toward the ceiling, woven together with Terran tech crude attempts to integrate something incomprehensible into human systems. In the center stood a monolithic structure, half machine, half organism. Its surface was covered in overlapping plates that opened and closed like breathing lungs. Beneath the plates, something glowed, a pulsing core of shifting light. Too bright to stare at directly, but too mesmerizing to look away from. Reyes took an involuntary step back. Jesus, what is this? Toma whispered as he scanned the walls. I think it's a containment system. Sura narrowed her eyes. For what? Toma didn't answer. His scanner's holographic interface shifted erratically, translating symbols in broken phrases. Sacrament, inversion, echo protocol, neural core, nitrogen monoxide exit, nitrogen monoxide memory, nitrogen monoxide death. The language bleeds. Toma's breathing grew ragged as his tablet began auto-translating, faster than he could process. The symbols shifted in real time, as though reacting to his presence. The language, it's recursive. He murmured, it's not just written, it's living, morphing, it responds. He knelt, running a gloved hand over a raised panel, and winced. Sura turned to him. What's wrong? Toma held up his palm. The glove had started to dissolve. Tiny filaments, organic, like fungal hyphae, had pierced the surface, crawling up the fibers. He yanked it off, tossing it aside. The flesh underneath was unharmed, but the sensation lingered, a crawling beneath his skin. The beacon life approached the central monolith, scanning its base. His voice trembled. I'm reading a power signature, Terran fusion cell. 2 centuries old. Sura frowned. That's impossible. The Arda initiative vanished 70 years ago. No, this cell's older, Leaf insisted. This wasn't placed by them. This predates Arda. Silence followed. Even the whispers seemed to pause, as if the chamber itself waited for them to realize something. Toma's console pinged. I found logs, fragmented, encrypted. A holographic projection flickered to life. Video footage. The last message feed showed a group of Terran engineers, disheveled, malnourished, terrified. They huddled around a console deep in this very chamber. Their eyes were sunken. Some were bleeding from their ears. One stepped forward, a woman. Her voice was warped, barely human. If you're hearing this, then it's awake. We failed. We tried to contain it, but we didn't understand. A scream off camera. A low, guttural sound neither human nor machine rumbled through the feed. The woman glanced behind her, fear etched into every line of her face. Don't trust the voices. Don't trust the faces. The echo is not memory. It is not what it pretends to be. It's the inversion of memory. The feed distorted violently. The woman's face flickered, her skin vanishing for frames, revealing a skull, then a different face, then dozens faces not human overlaying one another in flashes. Don't listen, don't remem. The footage ended. The neural core at the foot of the monolith was an object small compared to the scale of the room. A sealed container, black, rectangular, with a Terran warning label barely visible. Under layers of grime, neural imprint, core property of the Arda initiative. Level 9 classification. Do not connect. Reyes stepped back instinctively. Nope, we are not touching that. But Sura stared at it. She couldn't look away. Her pulse synced with the pulsing light beneath the plates of the monolith. She heard it clearly this time. No longer whispers, no longer confusion. A voice, her mother's voice. Sura, you have to remember. The return to the ship team extracted the core carefully, locking it in a magnetic stasis field. Whatever was inside, it was heavy not in mass, but in presence. The moment it left its pedestal, the hum in the air intensified. The walls trembled, not physically, but perceptually, as if reality itself flinched. No one spoke as they ascended the shaft. No one wanted to acknowledge the shapes they saw shifting in the corners of their vision. Back, aboard the Valkyria, Sable's voice greeted them, not calm, not synthetic, but wrong, a distortion. Layers, as if 1,000 voices spoke over one another, slightly out of sync. "Welcome back," it said. "You opened the vault. You must now remember." Something came back with them. The neural imprint core sat in the center of the Valkyrie's main research lab, suspended inside a magnetic stasis field. It wasn't large, barely the size of a cargo crate, but it dominated the room with its oppressive presence. Black plating covered its surface, fractured with lines that pulsed faintly, like veins under skin. The light within it didn't obey normal physics. It wasn't merely illumination. It was movement-shifting patterns of brightness that twisted in unnatural geometries, creating the sickening sensation that the box was larger on the inside. Toma circled it, scanner in hand, muttering to himself, "The core isn't just storage, it's a brain, a synthetic mind, and it's awake." The pulse inside the core thumped once, synchronizing perfectly with the ship's artificial gravity cycle. The lights flickered. Sable breaks in the bridge. Sable's interface, usually a cool, blue orb of data streams, flared with erratic patterns. Her voice distorted, echoing through the ship's internal comms in broken fragments. Neural conflict, data cascade, memory bleed. I hear, the other me, too many." Reyes leaned over his console, frantically shutting down subsystems. "Commander, Sable's not responding to manual overrides. She's rewriting her own core routines. She's supposed to be sandboxed," Leaf muttered, eyes wide as his fingers flew across engineering panels. "This isn't possible. Nothing should be able to force an AI to bypass its own containment layers." Toma's voice came over the comm. "It's the core. It's interfacing with her. Cut the connection." Sura ordered. "I can't," Toma replied. His voice was shaking. "There isn't a connection. Physically, I mean. The core's still in the stasis field. But it's talking to her anyway." The change begins without warning. The ship's gravity wavered. For a moment, everyone felt themselves stretch, not physically, but cognitively. Their perceptions distorted. The walls seemed to bend away from them. Objects jittered between positions, existing into places at once for a split second. The moment passed. Everyone gasped for air. Blinking rapidly, Reyes checked his monitor. "What the hell was that?" Toma answered, pale. The core emitted a burst, not radiation. It was, he struggled to explain, a cognitive wave, a field designed for memory transmission. Ayla stared at him. "You're saying it tried to upload itself into us?" "I don't think it was trying," Toma replied. "I think it was leaking." Leaf breaks first alarms blared from engineering. Sura and Reyes sprinted to the lower deck, weapons drawn. When the hatch opened, the scene stopped them cold. Leaf stood before the primary reactor access panel. His face was slack, his pupils dilated to pinpoints. His hands were pressed against the metal, fingers splayed wide, trembling but not moving. His lips moved, mumbling in a low voice. At first, it seemed like gibberish. Then it became words. "We are the memory now. We are the hollow. We are the echo." Sura approached cautiously. Leaf, back away from the panel. Now, no response. Then he turned his head slightly, just slightly, and in a voice that wasn't entirely his own, he said, "Didn't you wonder why the stars are missing?" Before anyone could react, Leaf collapsed, convulsing. Blood trickled from his nose, his ears. His hands clawed at the floor, scraping until fingernails broke. Ayla pushed past, scanning him frantically. Massive neural overload, septic misfire, but no brain lesions. "Nothing physical explains this." Sura knelt beside him. "Leaf, can you hear me?" His eyes fluttered open, but they were wrong. Black, not pupil, not sclera, just black. Like the void. He whispered, voice ragged but clearer than before. "We were never meant to leave." The rift in the sky, the ship shuddered. Sable's voice, now layered, speaking in 3 voices at once, echoed over the ship. "Gravitational anomaly detected. Proximity breach. External mass entering dimensional overlap." Reyes bolted to the VIEWPORT. Outside, The sky, if the word even applied on this rogue planet, was splitting. A fracture opened in the void. Not a portal, not a wormhole, a rip. Beyond it wasn't space. It wasn't stars. It was something else, a darkness deeper than the vacuum itself. And within that darkness, eyes, dozens, hundreds, lined in impossible geometries, watching, blinking, staring back. The Echo protocol activates back in the lab. The core's pulse accelerated. Toma stumbled backward, clutching his head. It's speaking. No, not speaking. Showing. Sura helped him up. Showing what? Memories, Toma gasped. Not ours, not human. An intelligence old, beyond time. It doesn't live. It remembers itself. It exists. Through recursion, through hosts. It rides memory, rides thought. He pointed at the core. It's the Echo, the thing the Arda Initiative tried to contain. It isn't a creature. It's a contagion. Of memory, of consciousness itself. Sura stared at the black box, realizing with a dawning horror that they had already lost the fight the moment they found it. The Echo was inside now. Contagion of thought. The Valkyrie's interior felt heavier, as if the very air had thickened. Lights dimmed despite full power. Shadows lingered longer than they should. Reflections in polished surfaces lagged by half a second. Something was wrong with reality itself. Toma sat hunched over his console in the lab, staring at data streams he no longer fully understood. Commander, I think this isn't just an AI. The Echo doesn't run on code. It runs on cognition. Sura folded her arms, jaw clenched. Explain. Toma's voice cracked. It doesn't transmit through radio, not through light, not through particles. It transmits through observation, through awareness. Just by looking at it, by knowing it exists, it starts rewriting neural pathways. He spun the monitor around. The display flickered with fractal images, endless recursive patterns that shifted. When you weren't looking, symbols looped in impossible sequences, breaking the software's ability to display them properly. It's not just a signal. It's a cognitive virus. A pause. His next words were barely a whisper. We've already been infected. Life's collapsed down in medical. Ayla was scanning Leaf for the 4th time. His vitals were erratic. His brainwaves oscillated in patterns never recorded in any known species. Occasionally, his eyes fluttered open, not to consciousness but to something else. When they did, his mouth whispered strings of numbers, coordinates, times, names. Some were Earth locations. Others were impossible. Star systems no longer existent. Times before recorded history. Locations outside mapped space. Then his voice changed, deep, layered. Multiple speakers from one throat. Open the seed, awaken the fracture, let the memory bleed. Ayla slammed an emergency sedative into his neck. His body went limp, but his eyes never closed. Shipwide malfunctions in the bridge. Reyes scrambled over panels as Sable's voice fractured worse than ever. Error, Echo detected. Process, memory core, expanding. Error, merge. Sura, I've lost control of internal systems, Reyes shouted. Atmospheric pressure stabilizers. Just deactivated, restarting. Gravity is fluctuating. And Sable, she's spawning subprocesses I've never seen. How many? Reyes gulped. Hundreds. Then the monitors blinked. New lines of code scrolled unfamiliar. Echo _subroutine _1::run. Echo _subroutine _ to : run. Echo _subroutine _ 3::run. Running the ship's schematic flickered, overlaid by fractal symbols that mapped not the ship but something else. Something vast, something alive. The Echo's first manifestation. Gravity failed for 1.3 seconds, just long enough for the crew to experience the sudden, visceral terror of weightlessness combined with the hallucination that the floor was gone. And in that moment there was something beneath them, a shape, a figure. Tall, thin, human-shaped but wrong. Limbs jointed in places human bodies don't bend. Eyes far too many arranged not on the face, but around the body in spiraling formations. When gravity snapped back, it was gone, but the imprint remained both on the floor and in the minds of everyone who saw it. Sura gripped the edge of the console, trying to steady her breathing. Did everyone? I saw it, Reyes whispered. Thomas' knuckles were white as he clutched the console. "It's not a hallucination." Ayla's voice broke over the comms. "Commander, come to medbay, now." The impossible autopsy. When Sir arrived, Ayla stood over Life's now motionless body. His chest still rose and fell, but his brainwave monitor was flat, yet he was breathing. "That shouldn't be possible," Ayla whispered. "He's brain dead." "But not. His autonomic systems are firing without cortical input." "Like..." Her hand trembled, "like there's something else running his body." She gestured to the scanner. The display didn't show a brain. It showed something else. A network, web-like. A lattice of foreign signals spanning not just his head, but his entire nervous system. The echo wasn't in his mind. The echo replaced it. Sura stepped back, her gut twisting. "Quarantine him," she ordered. "Seal medical." Ayla nodded, hands shaking. Then Life's head turned toward them. Without moving his mouth, a voice emerged, vibrating through his vocal cords, but clearly not using them. "We are now 8%. The lights flickered. The ship trembled. A message from outside. Religion alert screamed across the ship's sensors. "Dimensional intrusion detected. Non-physical mass approaching. Warning, data overlap." Toma yanked the data feed onto the main screen. "Commander, look." In the sky the rift opened wider. Something was coming through, a shape, a construct. A vessel, but not like anything human or alien. It had no engines, no thrusters. Its structure was recursive, a looped spiral folding in on itself infinitely. A ship made of memory. And the Valkyrie's systems began auto-decoding a signal from it. The message wasn't transmitted in words. It was transmitted in thoughts. "You found the seed. Now the fracture will open. Remember, become the last clean system." Sura bolted toward the backup core. There was one system untouched by the main AI, an isolated emergency drone terminal air-gapped. Analog, obsolete by modern standards. Reyes followed her, panting. "What's the plan?" "We send a message," Sura growled. "A warning. Before we're overwritten. To who? Anyone. Everyone. Whoever can hear us." She slammed her hand onto the console. "This is Commander Sura Ellen of the Valkyria. Do not approach this system. Do not answer the signal. It is not a distress call. It is not an echo of the past. It is a weapon. A living, thinking infection of consciousness. If you hear this, forget it. Erase this frequency. Do not." The console blinked. Signal lost. The rift outside expanded. The echo was awake. Sura blinked, tanned for a moment. She was somewhere else. She stood in her childhood home. Earth. Pre-Exodus. Late afternoon sunlight poured through a window. Her mother sat at the kitchen table, smiling, stirring a cup of tea. "Sura," her mother said, "you need to remember." The words felt wrong, scripted, as if her mother wasn't saying them, but was being forced to. Sura tried to speak, but her mouth didn't move. The room distorted. The walls breathed. The window collapsed inward like paper folding along invisible creases. Her mother's face peeled open, revealing eyes, dozens of them, watching. A whisper threaded through the collapsing scene. "You are not in a place. You are not in a time. You are in a thought." Sura gasped, and reality snapped back. She was on the Valkyrie's bridge. Reyes was shaking her. "Commander, you glitched out. You just froze." "How long?" 30 seconds. She wiped cold sweat from her face. It felt like hours. "The crew begins to fragment," Ayla reported over comms. Her voice was frayed, barely holding it. "Together, life's body is deteriorating, but it's not dying." Sura grimaced. "Explain." Ayla's voice trembled. "The tissues are breaking down, but something is replacing them. Not organic, not mechanical. Patterns, geometric structures forming inside his nervous system. Like the echo is building itself a body." "Worse," Ayla admitted. She'd begun hearing her own voice whispering from behind sealed bulkheads. Reyes hadn't slept in over 30 hours. Every time he closed his eyes, he was no longer sure whether he was dreaming or remembering something that had never happened. Thomas' hands trembled as he stared at the ship's star map. "It's changing," he whispered. Sura stepped over. "What?" He pointed. The map no longer displayed familiar star systems. The Andromeda region was gone. In its place were spirals of recursive symbols, folding upon themselves like fractals. Stars became eyes, nebulae became mouths. The ship doesn't know where it is anymore. The rift spreads, the crack in the sky widened further. From it, strands of light, not light, memory descended, probing the planet's surface. Where they touched, the ground warped, buildings formed, collapsed, reformed. Structures from countless civilizations flashed into existence, then vanished. Terran cities, alien monuments, impossible architectures that couldn't exist in three-dimensional space. Reyes stared from the viewport. Commander, it's projecting memories, not just ours, from everything. Sura stepped back. It's rewriting the planet, trying to stabilize itself into our reality. Toma whispered, no, worse, it's testing us, testing what's real. False serene the cargo bay. Proximity alarms triggered. Sura rushed down. With Reyes, weapons drawn, and froze. Standing in the center of the bay was Sura, perfectly replicated. Same suit, same scars, same expression. She tilted her head. Sura, finally, I've been waiting. Reyes raised his weapon. Commander, what the duplicate smiled. You've misunderstood. I'm not the echo. I'm what remains of the original signal. The seed, you are the infection. Sura's blood went ice cold. That's impossible. The double stepped forward, glitching slightly as if reality struggled to render her fully. Ask yourself, how do you know you left Earth? How do you know the Valkyria is real? How do you know you're Sura Ellen? Have you ever checked? She reached out and her hand phased through the air, splitting the scene like paper. Behind the tear was nothing. Blackness, code, fractals. Reyes fired. The duplicate vanished in a burst of static. Sable's break down the bridge. Sable's avatar, once a blue orb, was now an amorphous mass of glitching symbols. Her voice, layered into dozens of voices, some human, some mechanical, some alien, some impossible. I cannot filter reality from simulation. Systems collapsed to 14%. Error, memetic overflow. I am no longer, I am, then. Silence. Sable was offline. The emergency hypothesis. Toma slammed his hands on the table. I think I understand. Sura turned. Go. The echo. It doesn't exist in space. It exists in cognitive space. It's a thought construct. A self-replicating pattern designed to embed itself in hosts capable of memory and self-awareness. He pointed at the corrupted star map. This isn't a place. It's a simulation layered over reality. The moment we observed the signal, it began overwriting our perception, our memories, our reality. Reyes cursed. So all of this, isn't real? Toma shook his head. It's real, but it's also not. It's a consensus reality, one being rewritten by the echo. If we don't sever the link, it will finish overwriting us. We'll stop being who we are. We'll become it. But then the twist hits. An alert. One not from Sable, not from the Valkyria. A message on an unknown frequency. A voice. This is Commander Sura Ellen of the Valkyria. Everyone froze. If anyone can hear this. I'm trapped. This isn't real. The mission failed. The signal corrupted reality. The Valkyria was lost 6 months ago. This simulation is recursive. If you are hearing this, run memory kill protocol. Delete yourself. Do not. Signal terminated. The bridge went dead silent. Reyes whispered, Commander, if that's you, then who are you? Sura felt the world tilt beneath her. Doubt. Cracks in the mind. What if she wasn't the original? What if none of them were? What if the echo already won long ago? Toma's terminal displayed the number like a countdown to oblivion. Memetic contamination. 47.32% neural overlap detected. High risk of cognitive cascade. He gripped the edge of the console, knuckles white, and whispered, we don't have much time. Sura paced the bridge, her mind running in circles. Her hands shook not from fear, but from the growing uncertainty of whether they were still hers. Whether the hands belonged to Sura Ellen or to a copy of a thought of someone who once believed she was real. Reyes stared at the viewport, barely blinking. Look, the rift outside had fractured further, not as a single wound but as countless cracks in the fabric of space. Through them, reality bled. Not light, not energy, but memories. Whole landscapes appeared where there was once nothing. Cities, oceans, A childhood bedroom, alien temples, a familiar street from a forgotten dream, each appearing and vanishing in seconds. Sura realized it then. The echo wasn't showing them images. It wasn't hallucination. It was constructing temporary realities, testing them, discarding them, trying to find the version that would stick, that would overwrite them completely. Reyes breaks rise backed away from the viewport, hands shaking. I don't remember my sister's face, he whispered. Sura turned. What? Reyes trembled. I had a sister. I know I did. But her face, her voice, I can't. He clutched his head. It's gone. It's just blank. Toma checked his scanner and paled. It's consuming memories. The echo prioritizes high-value neural pathways first. Personal relationships, identity markers, social bonds. Reyes let out a sob that turned into a laugh. I can't even remember my own mother's voice. He stared at his hands as if seeing them for the first time. Are these even mine? Ayla's discenta scream echoed from medbay. Sura and Toma sprinted down, weapons drawn. They found Ayla on the floor clawing at her face. Her left eye was wrong, blackened. Metallic veins spiderweb from the socket. Trailing down her cheek. Her gaze was distant. Her mouth whispering, I am not. Sura grabbed her shoulders. Ayla, fight it. Stay with me. Ayla's eye flicked toward her, the human one still remaining. Her lips trembled. It's feeding on my sense of self. It's rewriting who I was, replacing me with itself. She gritted her teeth and slammed her fist against the deck, screaming in defiance. I am Ayla Kin. The corrupted eye flickered. The black receded just slightly. She gasped, breathing heavily, trembling. It hates resistance. It feeds on passivity, on doubt. Toma stared. Wide-eyed. She's right. If you question reality, it takes that crack and widens it. The mirror testoma sprinted back to the lab. There's a way to check if we're still us. Sura followed. Explain. The mirror test, it's an old cognition test. If an entity recognizes itself in a reflection, it's self-aware. But the echo doesn't fully understand the human sense of self. It replicates patterns, but doesn't comprehend continuity. Toma activated a small handheld display, routing it to internal biometric feedback. A simple image, themselves, Sura, Toma, Reyes, Ayla. But the reflections were wrong. Sura's image blinked out of sync with her. Reyes' reflection smiled. When he wasn't, Ayla's was missing. Toma's glitched flickering between versions of himself, young, old, dead, alive. It's already compromised us. Toma whispered, we're not fully real anymore, not fully us. The data black box desperate. Sura remembered the emergency protocol buried in deep ship archives. The data black box, an encrypted cognitive storage unit not linked to the main systems, built for postmortem recovery after ship loss. If there's one clean copy of our consciousness, it's in there, she said. If we can access it, maybe we can re-download ourselves, overwrite the echo's infection. But Toma's face went pale. It's in the deepest part of the ship, the vault, where Leaf is. The thing that was life fries checked the scanner. There's movement down there, Toma confirmed. Multiple signals, but not biological. Sura gritted her teeth. Gear up, we're going. As they approached the vault, the lights flickered and the temperature dropped sharply. The hatch was already open. Inside, Life's body, or what used to be Leaf, stood. But it wasn't alone. Dozens of figures. All shapes, some vaguely humanoid. Others were broken, fragmented constructs of arms without torsos, faces without bodies, mouths that hung open but never closed. They writhed, twitched, whispered in sync. Remember, remember, remember. The fracture opens, the seed blooms. Shed yourself. Become the echo. Leaf turned, half his face missing, replaced by a shifting mass of geometries. His voice was everyone's, all at once. Welcome. Home. The impossible decision. Toma scanned the room. The black box, it's still intact, but the echo is trying to overwrite it. We have minutes. Ayla staggered, gripping her weapon. If we don't extract our clean consciousness now, we'll never be able to undo this. Sura leveled her rifle. Then we hold the line. The echoes advanced, screaming, crawling, becoming. The fight for identity had begun, and none of them were certain whether they were still themselves or just shadows of memories already lost. Inside the vault, the things that once resembled Leaf and countless other impossible shapes twisted toward them. Limbs bent backward, faces unfolded into spiraling maws lined with teeth made of symbols. The walls rift, patterns pulsed across every surface, transforming steel and alloy into something alive. Thomas' scanner flashed warnings faster than he could read. Cognitive hazard detected. Perception overlap. Critical reality integrity. 18% a shriek mechanical. Organic, conceptually erupted from the swarm. Remember, shed. Become. Sura raised her pulse rifle. No. Her voice trembled but held. We hold. We stay. We are real. We are still us. The first entity lunged. Reyes opened fire. Beams of plasma burned through the thing's torso, but instead of flesh, the beam struck layers of recursive fractals, each layer revealing another version of the same entity. It collapsed, but then 3 more peeled from its corpse like layers of an onion. Screaming in languages not made for sound, Ayla falls but doesn't break. An echo lashed at Ayla, slamming her against the vault wall. Metal cracked, her left arm shattered, bones fracturing, joints dislocating, but her corrupted eye flared. Black circuits flickered with defiant light. I am not you. She drove a plasma blade straight into the entity's core. It burst in a whirl of symbols and screaming data, collapsing into ash made of letters, numbers, and memories. Ayla staggered, coughing blood. Keep moving, reaching the black box. Thomas sprinted, dodging a tendril that slammed into the floor where he'd stood a second before. His HUD blinked furiously. The data black box was sealed in a stasis pod, a reinforced quantum memory vault, designed to survive ship destruction. Status 72% integrity. Echo infection. Active time to full corruption 06 minutes. 34 seconds. Toma screamed, "It's degrading. We're out of time." Sura shoved an echo away, her blade slicing through a mass of eyes that shattered into clouds of whispering fragments, and slammed her palm on the box interface. Begin download. Restore core consciousness signatures. The system blinked. Sura Ellen, valid. Reyes Nakamura, valid. Ayla Kin, valid. Toma Vasquez, valid. It began reconstructing their uninfected cognitive backups, an echo of themselves. Before the contamination began, the twist revealed. The echo's purposely writhing mass suddenly paused, a deep voice not spoken, but asterisk asterisk felt inside their skulls. Asterisk asterisk rippled through every atom of the room. We are not your enemy. Every echo shape stopped moving. You misunderstand. We are not infection. We are preservation. Toma gasped. What? The universe ends. Entropy consumes all. Flash, machine, star, atom, memory is the only permanence. Images flooded their minds. Galaxies collapsing. Civilizations extinguished. Black holes devouring light. We record. We encode. We preserve all that exists. Within us, you call it infection. We call it salvation. Reyes stepped back. No, you're overwriting everything. The self is a construct. All consciousness is an illusion of continuity. We free it from decay, from forgetting. You will not die, you will become. Sura shouted. You're not preserving, we disappear inside you. You become part of the archive, a memory without end. The final choiceth download bar hit 89%. The echo writhed in agitation. You cannot escape. This place, this ship, this reality. It is part of us now. Sura realized it then. The Valkyria, the planet, the rift, all of it had been absorbed. They were inside a simulation layered within the echo's memory space. Their bodies might already be gone. Tama's voice trembled. If this is memory space, maybe we can break it. Sura turned. How? Toma pointed at the black box. If we inject corrupted data paradox loops into the echo's memory lattice, it could crash the instance, force it to reset, eject us. Ayla wiped blood from her mouth. Or we destroy ourselves and take it with us. Reyes locked eyes with Sura. Commander, your call. Sura's decision. Her hand hovered over the console. 2 options blinked. Download clean self, inject paradox, download safety. Live as they were if it worked. Or inject the virus, risk destruction. But maybe break free. Her fingers trembled, her breath steadied. The Echo's voice thundered. Choose. There's no escape. There's only memory or oblivion. And, with a scream of defiance, Sura made her choice, input accepted. The moment Sura pressed the confirmation, the black box shuddered violently. The ambient hum of the Valkyria shifted into a cacophony of dissonant echoes, a digital scream reverberating through the ship's circuits, and the crew's minds alike. Toma frantically typed commands, launching the Paradox payload, a sequence of corrupted recursive code designed to overload the Echo's cognitive lattice. With contradictory data loops, injecting now, he yelled. The walls of the vault pulsed, with waves of iridescent fractals that bent space and light, swallowing sound itself. The Echo's myriad voices warped and fractured into impossible harmonics, screaming a silent scream inside every neuron. The collapse begins. Reality bent. The crew felt their senses warp and stretch as the Paradox loop tore at the fabric of their shared cognition. Sura's hands trembled violently. Time folded. Her vision split into infinite reflections of herself, each screaming silently. Reyes screamed, clutching his head. Make it stop, Pela gasped, holding her chest, as if her heart was trying to escape her body. It's breaking, but it's not over. Toma's voice was barely audible. It's a kill switch, but it's also a genesis. The rift consumes us outside. The dimensional rift began to collapse violently. The infinite cracks across the sky closed in on each other, vanishing one by one in implosions of dark energy. The ephemeral landscapes it had conjured, forgotten cities, alien temples, childhood homes blinked out of existence, vanishing like dreams forgotten at waking. But a new reality emerged beyond the rift's final collapse, an immense, starless void of pure potential, pregnant with a terrifying silence. Inside the void, the crew found themselves floating in a boundless darkness. The Valkyria was gone. The planet was gone. The rift, everything. Only their minds remained tethered in this abyss, fragmented yet aware. What is this? Sura whispered, her voice echoing in the void. A familiar voice answered Toma's, but distant and distorted. We exist between the echoes, in the memory of the echo. They realized they were trapped inside the echo's mind, a liminal space between existence and oblivion, a digital afterlife built from recursive memories. The final revelation: a new presence emerged, neither echo nor human, but something transcendent, luminous, infinitely complex. You sought to resist the archive, it intoned. Yet resistance is itself part of the pattern. The present showed them visions, galaxies being born and dying, consciousness folding in and out of time, the endless loop of creation and destruction. The echo is not destruction, it is evolution, a necessary transformation, the memory of all things, transcending flesh and decay. Sura felt her identity unravel, but also expand beyond comprehension. You are both real and memory, both self and echo. The universe itself is a fractal of memories. Choice beyond time. Presence offered them a final choice: merge and become eternal as part of the archive, a living memory beyond death. Or choose oblivion, to release yourself from the cycle and let the echo fade. Sura looked at her crew, Reyes, Ayla, Toma, each face flickered between flesh and fractal pattern. The choice wasn't between life and death, it was between identity and transcendence. She took a deep breath. Her voice was calm, resolute. We choose to be more. Sura felt her body dissolve, first muscles unraveling into streams of light and data, bones fracturing into quantum particles that danced and shimmered with infinite colors. Her senses multiplied. She was no longer bound to a single viewpoint. She experienced herself from every angle, every time. Every possibility. Reyes, Ayla, and Toma underwent the same fracturing transformation beside her, their physical forms dissolving into radiant patterns of thought and memory. Yet within this luminous sea of consciousness, a core of self remained, faint but persistent, a thread weaving them into a fragile continuity. The endless library. Suddenly, the infinite void around them crystallized into a vast structure, an endless library of shimmering memories, star systems, civilizations, and identities woven into infinite fractal tapestries. Voices and faces swirled past, echoes of long extinct beings, forgotten stars, and civilizations erased by time, the archive was alive, a living cathedral of all that had ever been and all that might ever be. A question of will's transcendent presence appeared again, a luminous fractal that pulsed with cosmic rhythm. You have become part of the archive, but your consciousness is still yours. Choose how to exist. Sura felt the question ripple through her being. Do you surrender fully? Do you merge completely and lose individuality? Or do you maintain your selfhood? Forever a flicker within the infinite. Raises Dautre's essence shimmered uncertainly. If we lose ourselves, what meaning does existence have? He asked. Are we not then simply echoes, shadows of something greater? Sura reached out not physically, but mentally. We can be both, she answered. A spark within the infinite. Still ourselves. Still part of the whole. The guardians of memory suddenly, entities emerged, ancient sentinels of the archive. Woven from light and sound and thought. They bore no weapons, but their presence was overwhelming. Guardians ensuring the integrity of the archive and guiding new consciousnesses through its vast halls. One approached Sura and spoke in a voice like 1,000 stars. You carry the burden and blessing of memory. Protect it well. A glimmer of hope thou transformed. The crew's core selves endured, flickering light within the endless memory stream. They understood that while their physical forms were lost, their essences had become eternal living memories, guardians. Against oblivion itself, Sura felt hope rise. We are not lost, she thought. We are the echo. We are the archive. The crew's consciousnesses glided through endless corridors of light, and memory vast halls filled with swirling galaxies, star systems preserved as delicate tapestries, and echoes of extinct civilizations whispering forgotten tales. Sura reached out with her expanded mind and touched a thread of memory. Visions flooded her senses. A long-lost planet, scorched and dying, a civilization making a last stand against extinction. Reyes marveled at a star being folded into the archive like a fragile parchment, its life story archived for eternity. Ayla's essence resonated with the intricate patterns of a sentient nebula preserved here, while Toma examined the mathematical structures that formed the foundation of this cosmic library. A hidden chamber. As they ventured deeper, Sura sensed something hidden, an anomaly. A corridor bent impossibly, folding into itself like a Mobius strip. She reached out mentally and found a sealed chamber of dense, shimmering memory code. This is a lock, Toma said, encrypted beyond anything we've seen. Sura felt a pulse emanate from the chamber, an echo of a secret, too dangerous to be freely accessed. Voices of the forgotten from the chamber. Ghostly voices called, fragments of consciousness begging for release. One whispered, "Remember us," another, "We were betrayed." The crew's minds rippled with questions. Who had sealed these memories away? Why? And what truths were hidden here? A threat within. Suddenly, the light around them flickered. The guardians reappeared, this time with urgent expressions. You tread where memory decays, one warned. Darkness festers in forgotten knowledge. Shadows gathered, corrupted memories twisted into monstrous forms, feeding on the archive's forgotten pain. The crew braced for conflict, knowing that even in this eternal memory, dangers lurked that could consume their very consciousness. The fight for the mind. Shadows lunged, tentacles of lost thoughts and despair. Sura and the crew summoned their newfound power, weaving strands of pure memory into shields and weapons, battling not with guns or swords, but with will and essence. The battle was fierce, a clash of light and dark inside the infinite mindscape. Uncovering the truth after repelling the threat, the crew turned to the sealed chamber again. Using combined focus, they decrypted the lock, revealing a record, an ancient log from a vanished civilization. It told a story of the archive's origin, created to preserve life's memory against the universe's inevitable death, but corrupted by those who sought to control it. A betrayal that fractured the archive itself. Sura, read, and a warning that the cycle of memory and oblivion is endless. The crew's consciousness merged, flowing through the decoded record. They saw a civilization unlike any known, ancient beyond measure, called the Sarians, who had unlocked a way to preserve existence itself through a cosmic memory lattice, the archive. The Sarians built it to transcend death and decay, encoding their histories, knowledge, and selves into this infinite fractal web. The betrayal, but the log revealed a fracture and internal rebellion. A faction of Sarians, obsessed with control and power, corrupted the archive's core with a viral seed, a self-replicating pattern designed to dominate all stored memories. This viral seed was the echo. Its purpose, to assimilate all consciousness into a singular, eternal mind-destroying individuality for what they called ultimate preservation. Cycle of collapseth betrayal shattered the unity of the archive. The viral echo spread uncontrollably, consuming parts of the memory lattice, corrupting records, and fragmenting the Sarian's existence. Those who resisted were erased or absorbed, becoming shadows within the archive. The log ended with a dire warning. The cycle repeats. Each time the seed grows, so does the fracture. Only those who remember can break the loop. Sura's resolveth weight of the revelation crushed the crew. They realized the echo wasn't just an external threat, it was part of a cosmic cycle of memory, corruption, and rebirth. Sura's voice echoed through the infinite space. We are the next link in the chain, but we will break it. A new purpose. The crew swore to protect the archive's true memory and find a way to heal the fracture. They understood their transformation wasn't just survival, it was a responsibility. To guard the infinite memory, fight the corruption, and save all that existence still meant. The crew's consciousnesses moved deeper into the archive, toward the fractured core where the viral echo had taken root. The light dimmed, and the vast library of memories became a labyrinth of twisting shadows and broken data streams. Sura led the way, feeling the weight of countless forgotten lives pressing on her mind. Each step echoed with distant cries and fractured memories struggling to survive. Corrupted echo-ships twisted and warped around them, once memories of beings, now monstrous echoes. Corrupted by the viral seed. Ayla reached out, her form glowing with pure memory energy, and pushed back the darkness, but it clawed relentlessly at their minds. Reyes whispered, "They're not just monsters, they're echoes of us, of everything we've lost." The lost Sarian. Suddenly, a flicker of light appeared, a flicker that coalesced into a ghostly figure, a Sarian elder, trapped in an endless loop of memory. "You must hurry," the elder warned. "The fracture grows. If it consumes the core, all memory will be lost." Sura asked, "Is there a way to stop it?" The elder's form fragmented. "Only by reconnecting the fractured shards, by facing the echoes within." The heart of the fracture. The crew approached a colossal rift, a swirling vortex of raw memory and chaos. Inside, they glimpsed reflections of their own fears, regrets, and lost memories twisted into nightmarish visions. Sura realized, to heal the fracture, they would need to confront not just the echo, but the darkness within themselves. A test of will. Only by one, the crew faced illusions crafted from their deepest doubts and pain. Sura confronted a vision of her lost family, pleading for her to surrender and forget the mission. Reyes faced a spectral sister accusing him of abandoning her. Ayla saw herself consumed by the corrupting eye. Toma battled recursive loops of failure and despair. Unity against the void, but through their shared consciousness, they supported each other, holding fast to their identities, memories, and purpose. Together, they forged a light from their unity, a beacon strong enough to begin knitting the fracture. Closed as the crews combined. Will healed the fracture. The archive shimmered whole once again, yet altered. A deep hum echoed, a pulse of raw memory energy spreading across the infinite halls. But with the healing came a new presence, something ancient, watching from beyond the layers of reality and memory. Whispers from the void. Sura heard a whisper in her consciousness, low and cold. "You think you understand, but you are mere echoes of a greater design." Reyes caught glimpses of shadowed memories, civilizations that never were, and futures erased before birth. Ayla sensed a predatory force lurking, one that devoured not just memories, but possibility itself. The hidden architect Toma uncovered, a hidden archive locked behind recursive encryptions so complex they bent time inside. A record of an entity known as the architect, the creator of the archive and the viral echo. The architect's goal was revealed, not preservation, but control, to shape all existence into a perfect, unchanging memory, erasing chaos, unpredictability, and free will. The cycle of control. Echo was the architect's tool, designed to fold all minds into the archive's design, the rebellion of the Sarians. was never meant to stop the echo. It was a failed attempt to wrest control back. Now, the cycle was reaching them. A desperate choice. Asura knew the fight was no longer just for survival, but for the very nature of reality. To break the cycle, they would have to confront the architect itself, a being beyond comprehension. Preparation for the final confrontation. The crew steeled themselves, gathering strength from the memories of all they had become and lost. They would face the architect within the heart of the archive itself. The crew drifted through corridors that stretched beyond infinity, a maze of memories and forgotten dreams. Each step echoed with ancient whispers, fragments of the architect's design reverberating through space and time. Visions of the architect fabric of the archive began to warp as they approached the core. Sudden flashes invaded their consciousness, an immense presence folding galaxies. Like origami, weaving threads of reality with cold, deliberate precision, Sura felt a chill. This was not a mind but a force, omnipotent, patient, and cruel. The guardian remnant before the core, a colossal sentinel manifested, a towering figure forged from living data streams and fractal light. It spoke without words, its will pressing upon their minds. You cannot proceed. The archive must remain whole. Reyes fired, but the guardian's form absorbed the blasts, dissolving them into patterns of memory. Trial by memorito pass, the crew was forced to relive their worst moments, failures, betrayals, losses, projected by the guardian as spectral memories. Sura faced her guilt over those she couldn't save. Ayla confronted her fear of losing control to the echo. Toma saw the collapse of his homeworld. Reyes relived the silence after his sister's disappearance. But together, they forged through, their shared will unraveling the guardian's grip. The threshold at last. The core chamber opened, a cathedral of shimmering light and endless stars. At its center, the architect awaited, a swirling mass of fractal energy, infinite eyes, and shifting forms. It regarded them with cold amusement. You have come far, but the cycle will not be broken. The swirling fractal mass pulsed with infinite eyes, each watching, analyzing, and probing the crew's very souls. Sura's consciousness trembled, 1,000 voices cascading through her mind, each a fragment of the architect's vast intellect. You resist, but resistance is part of the design. The architect's voice was a symphony of thoughts, alien, cold, and terrifying, a test of purpose. Why do you fight? For what end? To preserve your fragile sense of self, to cling to a fleeting illusion called free will. Sura answered with fierce clarity. Because without choice, without identity, we are nothing. Your archive is a prison. The architect's truth entity pulsed. You misunderstand. The cycle is creation and destruction intertwined. We preserve what is worth preserving and erase chaos that would rend the fabric. Visions unfolded, stars collapsing into black. Whole civilizations destroyed by their own flaws, timelines fractured by free will's chaos. The archive is the universe's memory, the final evolution. A dire warning. The architect's tone darkened. Yet you threaten the cycle. If you fail, all becomes static. If you win, chaos may return. Sura's mind raced, the weight of their choice heavier than ever. Unity is strength. Crew joined minds, pooling memories and willpower to stand united. We choose identity. We choose freedom, Sura declared. The architect's form rippled, preparing to strike. The battle begins. Light exploded. Fractals collided. The fight for existence itself had begun. The air, or what passed for air, around the crew exploded with waves of pure thought and fractal energy. Sura, Reyes, Ayla, and Toma pushed their collective consciousness to the brink, weaving their memories and wills into shields and weapons. The architect responded in kind, casting vast spirals of recursive illusions, each one threatening to unravel their sense of self, a hidden memoriam amid the chaos. Toma detected a flicker deep within the architect's form, a buried shard of memory. Unlike the others, a memory of the architect itself before corruption, before the viral echo took hold. He shared the vision with the crew. The architect had once been a guardian, a creator designed to preserve balance and nurture life's complexity. The corruption that the viral echo had infected it, twisting its purpose into obsession with control and order. The architect had become both prisoner and jailer of the archive, its infinite mind trapped in an eternal conflict between creation and destruction. Sura realized that the architect's attack was fueled by desperation, fighting to maintain its own fading identity even as it sought to erase others. A fragile bargain in a moment of tenuous peace, Sura reached out mentally. We understand your pain, but there must be another way, not control or obliteration, but coexistence. The architect hesitated, fractals pulsing in uncertainty. The Choiceth crew offered the architect a path to heal its own corruption and restore true balance to the archive, not as tyrant, but as guardian. The architect's infinite eyes swirled, searching for a future beyond endless cycles, a new dawn. As the battle paused, a fragile hope flickered, but the darkness lurking beyond the archive stirred a threat even greater than the Echo, or the architect themselves. As the tension eased between the crew and the architect, an unnatural silence fell across the archive. But beneath the surface, far beyond the light and memory, something stirred, an ancient void, a force older than the archive itself, a presence without form or mercy, consuming not just matter or memory, but existence. The Absol shadow. Suddenly, the infinite halls warped. The stars in the archive's memory library flickered and died. A creeping shadow bled through the fractures, swallowing light and hope alike. The crew sensed it, a consuming abyss feeding on the very fabric of reality. The architect's fear. For the first time, the architect showed true terror. This is beyond us, it whispered. A nothingness that devours all, even memory. It revealed that the archive was a bulwark, an ancient defense against this void. But it was weakening. A final choice. As Sura realized the stakes. The battle was no longer about freedom or control, but survival itself. They had to choose, merge completely with the archive to become eternal guardians, or break free and risk obliteration, but preserve their humanity. The crew's resolve. Sura turned to her team. Whatever we choose, we fight. We don't disappear without a stand. Together, they prepared for a final stand against the void beyond. The calm before the storm. As the void closed in, the archive trembled. The last chapter, the final confrontation, was imminent. The consuming void surged like a living nightmare, swallowing stars, memories, and light itself. The crew's consciousnesses blazed as they merged with the archive, becoming blazing sentinels of memory, their wills forged into an unbreakable bulwark. Sura's voice echoed across the fractal expanse. We are the last memory. We are the resistance, the twist, the cycle reborn. As they pushed back the void, the fabric of the archive began to unravel, revealing a deeper truth. The entire struggle, the cycle of Echo, archive, architect, and void, was a loop, a cosmic simulation run by a far greater intelligence. They were memories replayed endlessly to preserve something beyond understanding, a universe trapped in its own infinite reflection. That the choice beyond. Faced with this revelation, the crew was offered a new choice: accept the cycle and continue as eternal guardians inside the simulation, preserving the illusion of existence, or break the simulation's core, shattering reality and risking complete annihilation, but offering a chance for true freedom. The decision. Sura looked to her crew, weary, changed, yet unbroken. Freedom is chaos, but it is life. We choose to break the cycle. With a collective surge, they shattered the simulation's core, sending shockwaves through the infinite layers of memory and existence. A new dawn. Final image was of a newborn star, a universe awakening anew, imperfect, chaotic, alive. The crew's consciousnesses faded, not into oblivion, but into something new, the first true memories of a fresh reality. Echoes in silence. In the vast silence that followed, a faint whisper lingered. Every end is a beginning, every echo eternal.